You know, when your email popped up with this Elon Musk deep dive, I gotta admit, I thought, okay, rockets, electric cars, we've heard it all before.
Right.
But then I started skimming through the articles you sent, and I have to say, this whole emerald mine thing, that's a new one on me.
Yeah, that's what makes these sources so interesting.
Yeah,
They really turn that whole self-made billionaire narrative on its head.
for sure. So, where do we even begin? I mean, how does the Zambian emerald mine play into Elon Musk building a tech empire?
Well, it all goes back to the early days, right?
Okay.
You've got Elon, fresh from South Africa, supposedly scraping by in Canada.
Right.
And then, boom, he launches his first tech company, Zip2. That takes money, serious money.
Yeah, it does.
And that's where those emeralds come in. According to Elon Musk, Elon's own father, those early funds came straight from the family's Zambian emerald mine.
Okay, hold on. I've heard snippets, like rumors, but didn't Elon actually sell some of those emeralds himself with his brother? Wasn't there something about Tiffany's?
That's right. Errol claims that, as teenagers, Elon and his brother Kimball sold some of those emeralds, and not just anywhere. They sold them at Tiffany & Co. in New York City.
Tiffany's. Like the Tiffany's.
The one and only. Now, this is just Errol's account. We haven't seen independent verification.
All right.
But he's repeated it in numerous interviews.
Okay. So, assuming it's true, that paints a very different picture of Elon's financial situation in those early years.
Exactly. We're not talking about a bootstrapping entrepreneur here.
Right. So, we've got this potential influx of emerald money, but Elon rarely, if ever, acknowledges it. Why the discrepancy?
That's a great question. And it gets even more interesting when you dig into the emerald mine itself.
Oh, how so?
Well, according to Errol, those mines were never officially registered,
Meaning?
meaning they were operating illegally, likely exploiting Zambian workers in the process.
So, not exactly the squeaky clean origin story Elon might want people to believe, and his reasoning for running an illegal mine.
This is where it gets really unsettling. Errol flat out said he didn't want to deal with the black government. And he used some, let's just say, very loaded language.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about a potential fortune built on, well, some pretty shaky ethical and legal ground. But Elon was just a teenager, right?
He was young, but by his own admission, he visited those mines. He even talked about them in interviews years ago.
And now,
Now, he's putting as much distance between himself and those mines as possible.
calling it a fake emerald mine thing.
Exactly. Which seems awfully convenient now that he's, aligning himself with someone like Trump.
And making his own political moves.
Precisely.
So on one hand, you've got this maybe not so legal emerald money, possibly helping launch SpaceX and Tesla.
Right.
But he's actively trying to bury that narrative. You know, I'm seeing some parallels here.
Oh, yeah.
Between Elon trying to distance himself from this emerald mine past and then, him cozying up to Trump.
It's definitely a choice.
With his bid for the co-presidency, too. We can't ignore some of the stuff that came up in those articles about his views, though.
Yeah, his stance on race and equality especially.
It's a little concerning, to be honest.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot in those articles that really makes you wonder.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, you've got those accusations of racial discrimination at Tesla.
Right, right.
Multiple former employees alleging a really hostile work environment for black workers.
And you're connecting that back to how Elon Musk talked about black people.
It's hard not to see a pattern, I mean, I'm not saying Elon shares his father's prejudices outright,
Right.
but the language, the accusations, it definitely raises some red flags.
It's a lot to process, for sure. We've got the emeralds, the questionable ethics, the attempt to rewrite history, and now this.
Yeah, it gets deeper, though.
Oh.
Remember how Elon moved his whole operation to Texas a while back?
Right, right.
Well, now he's set up shop in Pennsylvania.
Okay. What's in Pennsylvania?
It's a swing state.
Right.
Big time. And guess what? Significant black population.
You're kidding. It's like he's strategically placing himself in the center of where this could all blow up.
Right. You have to wonder if it's all calculated, trying to control the narrative, appeal to a certain base.
It's a lot to unpack, to say the least. So where do we even go from here? It's like we stumbled onto a season of House of Cards, but with, like, rocket launches and emeralds.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does.
About the stories we tell about success.
Right. And the ones that stay hidden.
Exactly. So when we look at someone like Elon Musk, especially now with his political ambitions, we have to ask ourselves, what shaped him? What were those early influences?
Because this isn't just about one man's past, right? It's about how that past could impact the future, especially if he's in a position of power.
Precisely. Those Zambian emeralds, that potential emerald money, it's not just a footnote,
Right. It potentially funded his entire empire.
and potentially shaped his worldview,
Right.
his approach to business, maybe even his politics.
You know, it's funny, we started this deep dive wanting to learn more about Elon Musk, and I think we accomplished that,
We definitely went deeper than I expected.
for sure. But I think the real takeaway here for anyone listening is to be wary of a good story.
Oh, absolutely.
Because sometimes the most captivating narratives are the ones that have been, well, carefully crafted.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to dig a little deeper, ask the tough questions, look for those hidden connections. You might be surprised at what you uncover.
Couldn't have said it better myself.